Let's go 3, 2, 1. All right, ready to go? Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
Sean. Today, we've got another guest joining us here on our two-part today. We did a twofer today on the on interviews. Man, we've been a little dry there for a couple of weeks, and now we're back on a regular schedule. But we've got a great guest joining us today. We're going to be discussing postcard marketing with one of the founders of a company called PostPilot, a direct mail platform backed by some of the top marketers in the industry. That many others make. It helps sending individual, personalized, targeted, automated direct mail campaigns. It makes it easy as an email campaign. In fact, and I'm excited to talk about this being.
Yeah, I love this. This is
sales and marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is a great, I think this is underutilized kind of digital, physical world coming together, when everything's swung so digital for so long. And now to, seeing a couple different companies integrating the two. So I'm always excited to hear about getting in the mailbox, the real mailbox.
Absolutely.
Not the metaverse mailbox. And,
we talk about it. It's just something about going to your mailbox and pulling out something physical when everything's digital this day and age. You get some really good direct mail. It's I don't know. It's just maybe it's nostalgia. Who knows? But
probably so for us old guys.
But anyway, we're happy to have Michael Epstein. He is, like I said, he is the co-founder of PostPilot, and he's going to be telling us all about the service today that they offer, and a little bit more about some of the features and how marketers and sales professionals out there can utilize it to grow their business. And with that said, I'm going to welcome Michael to the show. Michael, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Big round of applause.
There you go.
So hey, so you're joining us. You're on the West Coast, right? I mean, it's 1 o'clock? You said 1 o'clock your time.
Yeah. So I'm still in more of the coffee mode. I think it is Friday, but maybe 1:30 is the cutoff to start switching over to your side.
Yeah.
So almost there.
I mean, it is kind of a holiday weekend this weekend. You could probably
That's right.
fudge it a little bit as we're recording this anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I should have thought about that earlier.
Yeah.
Or you could mix the two. I've got a coffee stout today.
There you go.
So, that's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
I love a good coffee stout.
Maybe, but didn't you say right before the show, you said you're drinking Mudwater, right?
Mudwater. Yeah.
How is that? I see ads for that everywhere. I've not tried it yet. I mean, I remember the Four Sigmatic, when they came on. Now we got Mudwater. It's a mushroom based, right?
Yeah, it tastes kind of like a chai. And I got to put a little creamer in it because I like to take the edge off a little bit, but it's good. I mean, it's like it's just probably a slightly healthier routine to be in versus coffee. So
maybe we could get them to do like some co-branding with like a Mudwater stout.
Oh man,
wouldn't that be good?
That'd be amazing.
That would be good.
We might just have to do that on the show one day, Jonathan. It's just bring a plain, maybe a Guinness, some just kind of plain stout, and then throw some Mudwater in there.
Or just chop up a bunch of mushrooms and throw it.
Yeah, just throw some whatever.
Now that would be amazing.
Some lion's mane, some chaga, whatever.
Exactly.
Just throw it in there.
Totally. That'd be interesting. So
yeah. No,
pretty good.
No telling what would happen with that. So, well, Jonathan, what do you have? So we know Michael's having Mudwater.
All right. So what I've got today is, I already teased it, a little Nitro. Actually, this is not it's not a coffee. It is a Nitro hot cocoa.
Dude, we must be on the same page. So is it alcoholic?
Oh yeah.
I love a good Nitro stout. I mean, that's
awesome. I love it. I mean, when you crack that thing and it just, air out.
Well, we did not talk before the show, Jonathan, but I am having, from Saloon Door Brewing, I am having a Tasty AF Nitro Milk Stout.
Wow.
So we're on the same wavelength today. And it even has directions on the can. It's like, do not tilt glass, pour directly down the middle. So it's a very dogmatic nitro stout.
Did I see a 12 on that? Is that like 12%?
No, it's 12 fluid ounces. It's 8%.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's hard to see the foam action in a stout, but it's kind of down there. So it's still bubbling a little bit. But so yeah, I love the name though. And let's just be straight up.
I don't know. We didn't plan this.
AF. There we go. I'll be the judge, but we'll see. So, Jonathan, you said you've already had some, but we'll
actually, yeah. So, Michael, we had a previous interview on with a guest, Stu Heineke. He's the author of the book How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. He was joining us earlier, and I went ahead and got jumped the gun on this one.
Got the party started without me.
But we didn't rate. So I was like, I'm going to hold off rating until this episode. And
I had a different brew on the last show. I had one of my go-to, the full grown man child from Tupps Brewing to get me started. But yeah, I wanted the nitro for this show. So
perfect.
Well, Michael, does Mudwater come in more than one flavor? Or is it they got just one flavor right now?
I think they're doing, this is, I guess, their morning version. I think they just rolled out an evening version that kind of helps on the other side, put you to sleep, relax you. But
I love that.
Yeah, it's good. Jonathan, you mentioned the ad. I mean, killer D2C advertising.
Yeah.
They had some great video content, and they got me. And I think we're trying to get them onto PostPilot too. And you mentioned Four Sigmatic. They use PostPilot too.
Yeah. So that whole nootropic space is just taken off. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I think of Four Sigmatic and Mudwater. They're kind of nootropics mixed with coffee, that morning ritual and now evening ritual.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
Yeah, cool brands.
Well, we do a rating of 1 to 5 pints. You can do decimals, you can do pi, whatever you want to do. 5 being the best, 5 being like this is the perfect drink. And then obviously down the scale. So 1 to 5 pints, what do you give your chai Mudwater?
Oh, we got to try it. We got to have our sip.
Oh, we got to do our toast. My bad. We've been drinking already, so I forgot.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
All right. Now, Mike.
All right. I feel like rating Mudwater is so underwhelming relative to Nitro brews.
Yeah.
But
if I consider the class, you're not comparing it against a Nitro brew. That wouldn't be fair.
Right. No, of course not. But I'll give it a 4.5 because I don't think I ever give anything a perfect score. There's always
you're one of those guys, huh?
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Not married.
No, the wife gets a 5. She's 5 pints for the wife if she's tuning in here.
For sure. Yeah.
Only
thing in life.
Exactly.
Good answer. Good recovery.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for pointing that out.
Jonathan, what do you give?
This is getting a 4.9 on the scale.
Oof.
Teetering on the edge, but I'm like, Michael, you can't just give away those 5s.
No.
But really, really good. This is like a dessert type, so it's not an everyday occasion.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you it actually just tastes like a hot cocoa, some hot chocolate. In this case, it would be some cold chocolate with alcohol.
Yeah. I had that.
But it is solid. I mean, very smooth, especially with the nitro. I always love nitros because they just have that smooth, crisp taste to them.
It's such a different mouthfeel.
It is.
Just having drunk the previous stout, it's just totally. It's almost like
they don't feel too heavy on.
Yeah. I don't want to say. It's going straight from this first time I think I've gone straight from like a regular stout to a nitro this close together.
Mm-hmm.
It almost like it first tasted like watery.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much smoother without the the carbonation, but after a few sips, I didn't want to say water because it's not like it's watered down. Its flavor still there, but it's just smoother, like you said.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give mine a it actually has peanut butter too. I didn't notice that on the can, but it's a milk stout with peanut butter and chocolate. So I'm going to give it a 4.4. So good, steady, strong.
Yeah, strong.
4.4.
Awesome. All over the board. Everybody gets a 4. If you're in the 4 neighborhood, you're doing well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely buy it again if we didn't have to find a different beer every week for this show. That's starting to get harder and harder to do.
So Michael, what's your go-to? Like if it were 5:00 your time here on a Friday, what would be the go-to beverage of choice for Mr. Michael Epstein?
Yeah, would I sound like an alcoholic if I just went straight to bourbon?
No. You'd be in the right show. You'd be on the right show.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Perfect. That's
just a pint of bourbon's a little much, So
right.
It didn't rhyme.
At least put a couple ice cubes in there. But I like to go straight for like a nice old fashioned or something like
that. Good. Okay. Any particular that you go to that's your favorites?
On the bourbon side or bourbon. The whiskey rye side? Like I actually like it's called Rock and Rye.
Okay.
It's like slow and low. It's it has a hint of like the old fashioned flavor profile already in it with a little bit of like sweetness and bitters. So it takes kind of the edge off. It makes for like a great old fashioned, and so you could almost drink it straight with just ice, and it's really nice. Or you could mix it up, like add in the extra bitters and simple syrup and stuff. But yeah, that's probably my favorite. And then there's a whole bunch of nice other bourbons and ryes that I like.
Oh man,
yeah, I think that's a kind of a new trend I'm seeing with distilled liquors is that they're starting the cocktail kind of in the jar already. And that's a big trend right now nobody wants to do it themselves anymore. It's like, just give me the whole thing so I can just go straight from the bottle.
Mark their price up nice, I don't know what the margins are on that, but they're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah. Looks the same, same price, but the ingredients are a little cheaper. So, all right, well, let's talk direct response in the mailbox postcard marketing. I'm curious to hear about this, and I love this world, Michael, as you heard us talking about before you came on. So tell us a little bit about what you do, who you do it for, and even how you kind of stumbled into this world.
Yeah, totally. And I think you guys hit it on the head. It's a little nostalgic, but it's really come full circle where it used to be obvious. Of course, the mailbox is where all the junk mail went, and it was cluttered, and your email inbox was the pristine place where you only got your important messages. And of course, now that's flip-flopped. And I've been in performance and digital marketing for over 20 years. I mean, that's been my entire career. I've been in e-commerce and digital marketing, and I'm still a huge proponent of it. I think we used direct mail as another touch point, another channel, in a lot of the companies that I was running over the last decade with success. And it was just a clunky experience. It was like the old school way that you would think about direct mail. It's like exporting a bunch of spreadsheets and then finding a print house and then blasting a card to a bunch of folks that need your attributes or a zip code, and then more spreadsheets to figure out what the return on it was. And so coming from the D2C and kind of e-commerce space, I was like, how do we make this as simple as an email campaign? And so myself, my business partner partnered up with our other co-founder who's CTO and was working on this technology. And we essentially created a Shopify app that plugs directly into your Shopify e-commerce store and allows you to trigger personalized postcards the same way you would trigger an email campaign or flow. So
that's cool.
Purchase today, they buy product X, wait 30 days, trigger, if they don't make another purchase, trigger a card with an incentive to come back or send them an offer for product B that they haven't purchased yet. You can do all the kind of cool, creative, segmented things you can do in email, but with direct mail.
That's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah, that it's automatically triggered based on, I guess, pretty much anything you can, make a trigger for it. And Shopify, I saw you integrated with Klaviyo, so that can probably gives you even a few more bells and whistles.
We basically call ourselves the Klaviyo of direct mail.
That's cool.
That's pretty much what we built. So
so you mostly focused on e-com brands?
Mostly, yeah. We do have customers from across the spectrum, from B2B sales folks to real estate agents to other folks. But I think our DNA is in direct to consumer and e-commerce. And that's the product that we really built. And so that's where the bulk of our customers come from.
Sure.
That's cool. Cause it's almost, typically a lot of direct mail campaigns, either buying a list or you're going geographically, but this is almost like a one-off thing. I mean, so literally, like if I only had, just hypothetically, if I only had one sale today and I got triggered, you're going to send out one postcard for me?
One postcard, and it will be individually personalized because they're created on demand. So
it pulls the data fields of the
It'll say, "Hey Sean, come on back. It's time to restock on your tasty AF stout." And so
very nice.
With an incentive and personalized for you, and it helps bring that customer back, especially if it's consumable type product where it's a beverage brand or
supplements.
Let's take Four Sigmatic, for example. Yeah. So they sell you a 30-day supply of their drink. And if you don't come back and buy again in the next 30 days, especially if you haven't responded to their email campaigns that are probably reminding you, which 80% plus.
They get lost. I mean, right? I mean, they get either you just neglect them or
or the timing's not right.
Yeah, exactly.
Too soon, too early, all that stuff.
But in e-com, email open rates are around 20%. So, and that's of the people that are even still subscribed to your list. So that leaves 80% of folks that aren't even engaging with that message or seeing it. And this is a way to make sure that you get in front of them and get them back, because that's really where the profits come from. When you bring the customer that you already paid so much to acquire, you keep them buying, those subsequent orders are where you get a lot of the profitability.
What are some head-to-head numbers? I mean, let's just cut to the chase, like email versus postcard follow-up series. Like what are you guys seeing? Head-to-head?
Well, typically we set a baseline target of like 6 to 10x ROAS on any campaign that we send. That's something that we want to have that much confidence that a campaign that we send is going to drive that kind of return. A lot of them do better than that, but that's a common kind of range for what you see on a postcard campaign.
That's pretty good. I mean, give you $1, you give us $6 to $10 back. I mean, that's you're a good friend to have.
Right. Yeah. And it should be incremental, because a lot of these are folks that you've tried to reach other ways, between the iOS update crushing people's Facebook performance, and again, email engagement just being more and more difficult as your inbox is so cluttered. It's sales that you weren't getting otherwise.
So this does seem like it would have to be a product or service. You're obviously going to have to capture their physical address and things like that. So, if you're an info marketer, you better want to have something you can send them to get the physical address, or it's not going to work. And I think that's one of the biggest misses when everything went digital, is how many companies just get name and email and they don't ever get the physical address. That's changed a lot with e-com, because more and more companies, they're shipping stuff.
Exactly.
But the early internet days it was a lot of information products, and I guess the early days they were still shipping stuff, but then it morphed to all cloud hosting and all that stuff. So for B2C brands, you're shipping the product, so you've got their address in your database, and we just can sync that automatically. But we just rolled out a beta program where if you only have their email address,
we can scrub that against the physical address database. And now you've got leads that have come in that haven't bought from you yet, but they've raised their hand and they're like, I'm interested. They've demonstrated intent because they've even given you their email address. They've been browsing your site, and now we can retarget them without even having their physical address using a postcard.
Yeah, I think Klaviyo is doing some of that as well, right? They're kind of, I know if they're scraping emails, if people come to their site, then they're kind of tying it to a database. I think that's what one of my clients was talking about. And of course, abandoned carts. I mean, you'd be able to do that as well.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, how often, that's a good point. How often do people, get to the end and they, leave the cart, or they get distracted, or don't do something, or, I can think of, cases where I've been, where this would have saved companies, I don't know how much, in terms of, you're on a subscription program with a company, and then for whatever reason, whether it's you decide to kind of pause things for a little while, and then with every intention of coming back, but you know how life works, things happen.
Credit card expires,
you get distracted, and then, but you never get anything physically in the mail from them. You may get an email or something like occasionally, but with everything that's like inboxes today, like you said earlier, you just get distracted by other things and you never see anything. But I mean, I could see this as being a huge value in bringing customers back who may be pausing a subscription or pausing something, and reminding them, just of, some of the new advantages for customers that they have, that they haven't thought about or maybe interested in if they do come back and be a subscriber. So
yeah, you're exactly right, Jonathan. And that's a popular use case, is for these brands that are on subscriptions, like a Mudwater, like a Four Sigmatic. People pause for whatever reason, or as you said, Sean, maybe their credit card expired and they just fall out of that routine. And all they really need is a bit of a nudge to get back into that routine.
Yeah.
And if you're only reaching them through digital, there's a good chance that it's just getting missed. Maybe it requires more touch points to just get them back into that habit again. But once you do, you're not even just getting that next one purchase. Typically, you're starting that routine back up again, and they go for a while more before maybe they fall off again. So you're getting a big boost in LTV when you get those lapsed customers back into the habit of buying from you.
Yeah. So what are some of are you guys doing the same size postcards? You have different sizes? Like, do you do bigger packages, or is it just postcards? Like, kind of what are some of the products you guys offer?
Sure. So we have a few different sizes of the cards, 4x6 up to 6x11, typically 4x6, most cost effective. And you still get kind of the most bang for your buck there, unless you've got a lot of real estate that you just want to use to show off a bunch of products. But we also have new technology that can send handwritten cards at scale as well. So it's actually robotic technology, pen to paper, and it's writing in natural handwriting with all the nuance of a human hand. So each letter looks different. The lines are variable and slanted different ways, and indentations are all different. Like all the nuance of human handwriting that we replicate and digitize. And we have this robotic technology that'll write it at scale, dynamically personalize them, just like we do with the postcards, put it in a handwritten envelope with a real postage stamp on the front, and mail those out to customers as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's crazy. So it's like a CNC machine for writing postcards, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And that's also one of the bigger, more popular items used in like B2B sales and things like that, where you're connecting with a prospect or a lead, or you're trying to generate warm leads, and you've got a list that you want to reach out to. I mean, you get a hand addressed envelope in the mail, you are addressed to you, you're opening that. You don't see that very often these days. So you're definitely opening that.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a great, thank you for ordering campaign that follows behind, a day or two after the delivery.
Yep.
And then maybe, hey, you like this? We really appreciate you being a customer. we've also got these other things that go great with this product. Scan this QR code with your phone to go straight to a special offer page.
Exactly. Yep. It's real popular. If you've got a luxury item, or you have VIP customers where you want to say, I want to trigger after a customer makes their 4th purchase from us, or after they've spent a total of $500 with us, let's send them a handwritten thank you note. It's just like, hey, really appreciate your business. We just want to acknowledge you. And here's even an offer to come back for your next purchase. They really, that's the surprise and delight experience. It makes you really memorable, keeps that customer loyal, and even gets shared on social.
Yeah. I could see doing that, especially like you said, with the VIP, they spend $150, $200. You like send them a thank you letter with a code that goes to like a free t-shirt download, like a place to order their free t-shirt, pick a t-shirt with your gear on it, your logo. That could be fun. Everybody loves t-shirts these days.
Sure.
So
for sure.
That'd be there's all kinds of cool stuff you could do with that. That's what I love about it, is that it's hard to funnel hack, so like your competition doesn't really know what you're doing unless they spend the money, which a lot of people aren't going to. They're just going to try to funnel hack your front end and they don't really see some of the stuff you're doing behind the scenes that really makes a difference in profit.
No, that's a great call out. And you're absolutely right. And the other nice thing, just from a competitive standpoint, is the price of postage is fixed, right? So it literally takes an act of Congress to change the price of postage. And so you're not paying, if a bunch of competitors are targeting your same audience, or you want to reach people during peak holiday periods, like around Black Friday or Father's Day or Mother's Day, where CPCs are always getting jacked up because everybody's marketing during those times, right? You're actually, you're paying the same price no matter when you send or who you're sending to.
Yeah, that's a great point. Especially, with Facebook ad costs or any of the platforms ad costs being so variable. That's a great distinction about pricing of the postcards. And, you got plenty of time to know if that's going to change and adjust. That's cool.
Exactly.
What's your favorite story of a client? You don't have to name the client, or you can, either way. They came on board and they just had a campaign that just, made them a customer for life.
Sure. I think the first story that comes to mind is that one of our clothing brands had sent out one of these VIP thank you notes and got a card back from the customer. Cool. So they wrote the brand back. They wrote the owner of the company and was just like, I just wanted to say that I received your card and it was so special and thank you so much. And it's a shit. And I wish more companies did this these days. And it just meant a lot to me. And I'm going to be loyal to your brand for life. And that was really cool. Got a picture of the card that they got sent back to them. So that was really cool. And then just kind of on the performance side, so many examples of brands that have done some really cool things, from, again, automated win-back campaigns where one of our cosmetics brands, Boom Cosmetics, sent a card campaign to everybody that just had bought a certain, it was a lipstick, I believe. And so they know that after that lipstick should last you about 30 days. And so they didn't come back and buy within 35 days, triggered a card to remind them with an incentive to come back. And they turned $1,500 into $40,000 in sales.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's Ezra's company, or one of his companies.
Yep. Ezra Firestone. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sure he's got all kinds of ideas. He's probably putting you guys to the test with.
Yeah, he gave us a nice video testimonial after that one. He's like, Postcards for life. I was a convert. I didn't want to do it. You guys convinced me to try it, and now I'm Postcards for life.
Yeah, it's funny because like local marketing, lawn care, these kind of guys, they never got away from it, really. Like, you get that stuff in your mailbox all the time, the Val packs, the things like that. And they work. I mean, there's, they're always looking for, those salespeople are always out pounding the pavement, looking for new people, but you see the same people in there over and over and over.
Yep.
Every Wednesday when you get your pack of Valpaks and grocery store flyers. So there's a long history of this stuff working really well. So I just love that it's coming full circle. I'm curious, do you guys integrate besides like with the Shopify and the Klaviyo? Do you guys do any like ads, online ads, digital ads, space ad type stuff? Google ads, Facebook ads, anything like that in conjunction with the cards, or do you let somebody else handle that?
It's not a service that we provide directly, but we typically say, take some of your best performing creative and especially your best performing email campaigns and just clone them into a postcard campaign. You've got, take a look at your Klaviyo account. You've got probably some good segmentation set up. I mean, that was kind of a key point for us because again, we came from that world. We were big into lifecycle marketing. We were setting up these awesome email campaigns in Klaviyo and really well targeted, awesome creative. And we'd look at the open rates and we're like 25% of this really warm, really relevant, really warm audience even engage with it. Like we're just leaving money on the table. We've got to be able to figure out a way to get in front of the rest of those folks. And so, yeah, we just kind of started pivoting those campaigns to email, and we recommend for a lot of our users, just clone it over and you'll get incremental revenue that you weren't getting with digital or email alone.
So you've got campaigns in, if I understand you correctly. So, if we're getting 20, 25% on a good day open rates, that leaves the 75% out there. So you're sending out an email gets triggered, and at the same time, a postcard gets triggered using basically the same stuff. I mean, obviously,
you can set it up. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say
that however you want.
Okay, so you could do that where you could say, I'm going to send the exact same campaign by postcard and email. Obviously, the postcard's going to show up a few days. Well, I guess you could probably time it to where they showed up at about the same time. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's in terms of a lot of the demographics on companies that use this, do you typically have more, I guess, broad companies that are, nationwide that sell products nationwide, or is there a lot of local, companies that deal in local markets? I mean, what's the breakdown of your customer base that use this service?
Sure. That's a great question. And Sean was kind of alluding to it earlier with it typically being more local businesses. And that's because traditionally you've targeted people based on like zip code. You've just said, I'm the local lawn care provider. I'm a roofer. I'm a restaurant. Yeah. Let me just target everybody within a 3-mile radius of my shop. What we really have tried to do is deliver like that actual segmentation, the customer segmentation on a wide scale, so that you can get really relevant audiences no matter where they live, based on whatever criteria that you want to select that you're capturing in your database. And so our brands are typically all national brands. We don't really focus on the local brands that are just trying to hit everybody in a zip code. There's plenty of companies that can offer you that service. Just batch and blast to a zip code. What we really try and do is focus on the brands that really want to touch their customers, through a channel that is not digital, because they can't reach them all that way. And the best kind of customers are typically the ones that have some sort of natural replenishment cycle, where again, it's a beverage brand that knows that they sell a 30-day or 60-day supply of something and needs to make sure that customer is repeating. Or a cosmetics brand, or other food and beverage, like a lot of those kinds of brands are great fits. And then with the
kind of like HelloFresh, Sean, don't you do the HelloFresh?
Yep.
So kind of like those guys, right? I mean,
sure.
Maybe somebody pauses for whatever reason,
and the pause keeps going.
Right. Yeah. Or supplements like.
Supplements, yeah. I use Athletic Greens, and
exactly.
There was like a 2-year gap between when I paused, and it would have been, I'll be honest, it would have been a shorter they cost themselves a lot of money because I paused for one reason only. And it's because they offered a, like the bulk bags. Sean knows this because Sean used to be a customer, and they used to, offer the 30-day bags, but they didn't offer the individual pouches that you could dump into your water
Travel,
and mix up.
Yeah, the travel packs.
The little travel packs, which I emailed them and I said, this is crazy. You don't sell those. You don't make that an option. And they said, well, we're working on it. So in the meantime, I paused my subscription because it was just like, I'll wait until you guys. Totally forgot about it. This is an opportunity they could have used in their postcard marketing because they had implemented that service long before I actually came back and became a returning customer. And
I think
a lot of money.
I think introducing new brand or new products within the brand is a great way to use this.
Perfect,
so, Michael, it sounds like your specialty is really on the warm side of traffic. Do you guys do any acquisition based stuff, or is it mostly kind of warm renewal, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's warm in that they're either a customer or they're a lead. So
you capture their data somehow,
retargeting them. Retargeting them, because we just find that that's where you're going to get the biggest wins.
Yeah.
It's great for profitability because again, you're not paying up to acquire that customer again. You're getting another purchase. And two, you're just the warmer leads in a medium like direct mail are where you're going to get really, really strong returns and then gradually work your way up the funnel from there. A lot of people think about it like marketers think about it a little incorrectly. And it might be because in the past it was just blanket a bunch of people with an offer and hope that they buy and try and figure out the ROI. And that just doesn't work for a lot of brands. It's really tough to make that work if you're not a really well-known brand with a very broad market. So start kind of the other side of the funnel.
Sure.
Get a lot of wins and keep working your way up towards the colder prospecting side as you continue to prove it out.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense because most people, where they leave the money on the table, everybody knows how to, not everybody knows how to, but there's plenty of services and companies out there that will do acquisition and, copywriters and marketers, they're all about acquisition. But the real profit, like you said, is in that follow-up and getting people to buy again. Jay Abraham, talks about there's only 3 ways to grow a business. It's new customers, get those customers to buy more and get them to buy more often. You cover the last 2. Yeah. And that's really where the profit is
exactly. And then we still can do the retargeting, which is still acquisition in that customer is not purchased from you, but at least they've demonstrated a level of intent. So if you're going to send them a card, let's at least go to hand raisers who have said, like, I'm demonstrating some level of interest versus I'm in some database as living in a zip code with some household income and an interest in shoes.
Yeah. That's a good distinction there. Because they will recognize, the logo or the whatever, so they can be a little bit familiar.
Yes, like exactly right. You're going through your mail, you see a logo or a card from a brand that you actually recognize, you're at least looking at it.
And you're like, I was on that site a couple weeks ago. Let's see what they got to say.
Exactly. Exactly.
Merrill, I think I buy a lot of stuff from Merrill, a lot of shoes from Merrill. Sure. They do a pretty good job of that kind of follow up and postcards, and they even do some. I think I featured one on a show, Jonathan, that they actually had the shoe I bought on the postcard. So it was very personalized. And sure enough, I think I reordered because they had worn out. So they had figured out what the life cycle of that shoe is, when it wears out and that kind of stuff. And they're like, maybe about time for some new shoes. And I was like, yeah, it actually is. So
that's the perfect example.
It works. Yeah. Absolutely works.
Not a lot of folks doing it well.
Yeah. Jonathan, you got questions?
Yeah. You mentioned, I know you guys, it's mostly a lot of B2C. But you did mention that there is some B2Bs, B2B companies that utilize this. I'm assuming it's mostly for, obviously you talked about it's intended for, warm leads, obviously potential, if they're not already customers, they're potential customers as well that are that you're following up with. You have their contact information. So how do B2B, I mean, can you automatically sign up and use your service and incorporate that, even if they don't kind of use Shopify? I mean, they could be, it could be something that's not a repeat sales type thing. I mean, they could be like an industrial markets or things like that, where it's a much bigger, acquisition. So is that doable with a service like this?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jonathan. You can do that. And that's typically if you have a list that you have cultivated or even acquired of prospects, whether they could be totally cold prospects, but on the B2B side, it could be, software sales. You have a list of target customers that you want to go after, and we can super easily consume that file of leads and help you dynamically personalize cards to go out to them. And that's typically the handwritten cards is what they use, because again, it's just it really gets through to these decision makers. They're very inclined to actually look at it, read it, because it's something that they don't see every day. And the response rates from those really prove out to be well worth it. And the value of those deals is typically so high that easily justifies the cost to send them a card. These are people that are accustomed to sending gifts and spending all kinds of money to acquire.
I mean, in a lot of times in B2B, whether it's software, whether you're making chemical or some kind of industrial acquisition, you're talking about $500,000 account or something like that, where this is a no-brainer, right? I mean,
exactly.
So I mean, it's like it's worth the time and the effort to and the money financially to invest in something like this that's pretty automated. What about the real estate? I think I saw on your website you guys work with realtors as well, right?
Yeah, so that would be another good example of where the value of that deal is very high, and so these are folks that typically are acquiring lists of prospects one way or another through databases or other kind of proprietary ways they've generated these lists. And the competition, for example, for people that are real estate investors looking to acquire properties, these are people, the value of that deal is really high. It's very hard to break through because a lot of people, they're on a lot of people's radar, because it's just such a hot thing right now that people are sending them cards, they're putting flyers on their door, or they're doing all these different things to try and get their attention. And so we've done actually a couple case studies with real estate agents on the handwritten cards where the response rates have just been astronomically higher relative to the other means that they were using to try and get that seller's attention. And a handful of people have even, again, commented or written back where they're like, the reason that I chose you was because you reached out personally like that. And so it is a nice way to just cut through the clutter and get people's attention and get them to engage with you.
So I saw on your website, it's postpilot.com, by the way, in case we haven't said that enough times for people to remember it. Postpilot.com.
Never enough.
Yeah, it's like a radio ad. Postpilot.com. I see.
Normally, Sean's got the banner streaming at the bottom, but he's not for whatever reason he doesn't have access to that.
Couldn't get the tech to work this time. So you can create your own, like you would design an email, kind of drag and drop creator. But then do you guys also offer like custom design? Do you have campaigns preset or anything like that, or
absolutely, great point. We've found we have a concierge service. We have full-time design team on staff that they're phenomenal, and they'll do completely custom design, and take it off your hands and off your plate. That was really kind of one of the more pivotal moments, I think, with the company, is when we started recognizing that design and even strategy to an extent was becoming a bottleneck for customers and that really wanted to get started with this, but it was like, where do I start? What do I do? And then they're like enthusiastic about the channel. They're like, makes total sense. We want to do that. Makes a ton of sense. Now what? Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So we have account managers that have, e-commerce and experts in the channel, and they've seen thousands of the campaigns and they know exactly what works. They can make sure that it's all set up and setting you up for success. And then we have the design team on staff that'll actually create the card for you at no charge either, because again, I'm sure you guys have seen or heard it. Like, yeah, I want to do it. I need to just go to my creative department and I'll send everything over to them, and we'll hear back from them in like 2 to 6 weeks. And so nothing against creative departments, but like they usually have their plates full of other stuff and they're just trying to get through everything. And this doesn't always.
Well, it's always hardest, I think, to do your own marketing.
Yeah, totally.
Because you get so caught up in it that what you might do for a client or what you might do for a customer is totally like, there's so much more emotion when you're trying to do it yourself for your own stuff, and you just kind of get in the way. So that's great that you guys offer that service, that especially because you've got kind of a Rolodex or, a bucket of templates that work from all the different people you've worked with. And then you can insert, any given client's brand book and all the stuff that makes them unique into proven strategies. So I think that's
exactly. So we'll make it, we'll do the whole thing for you. And all you have to do is kind of give the thumbs up, or you make a few tweaks and we'll get it going.
That's cool. Yeah, that's so they got no excuses not to give you a call. So I've got a couple clients that I work with on a copy basis that I'll be sending your way for sure, Michael.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So a couple and probably a whole community of ecom people that we need to get you on a call with, do a training or something with, because
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, a lot of startups, but they're all, out there hustling to be the next Boom or Four Sigmatic or Mudwater, So getting this stuff in early, I think, is a key way to grow that type of business, because you're gonna find those rabid fans.
Exactly. Create that loyalty from the outset and stand apart from everybody else using kind of this surprise and delight. And it's a great way to build your brand, build your business.
For sure.
Is there any, and we're getting close to wrapping up, and I did want to mention, is there any data that you typically share with a lot of your clients on, the open rate for emails versus, people that naturally respond to, postcards as opposed to emails that data that you typically share, and what I can only imagine that it's probably higher. I'm sure it's a lot higher with postcard mailings, but I'm just curious what those numbers look like.
Sure. There've been a number of studies done on it, and obviously we can't track the actual open rate the same way we do on an email, but a bunch of studies have been done on this with direct mail, and they all show that it's well over 90% of people at least skim every piece of mail, including junk mail. But especially when it's from a brand that think about it. When you go to your mailbox, you're not just blindly like dumping it in the trash without even looking at what came in. You're at least, you're flipping through it. You're skimming through it. You stop at the brand that you recognize, and you're like, what's this? And like my wife likes to say, if she gets a coupon or something, an offer in the mail from a brand that she recognizes, she holds on to it and she almost feels compelled to use it, like the Bed Bath & Beyond coupons that are still sitting in everyone's drawer right now.
Yeah.
Whereas that's just different than email, where you just forget about it in seconds or you delete it. So a bunch of studies show that people are at least skimming it. So you're at least getting that message across to your customer, and the engagement rates are over 90%.
Wow. Are QR codes being, I know those are coming back a little bit in popularity, that people are starting to incorporate those into a lot of the direct mail pieces. Are you guys seeing a lot more, QR codes being used in some of your advertising and mailings?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's now in the majority of campaigns, and it's considered a best practice now for us, where you have the QR code. It really, COVID really helped bring that back from, and it's made it just super common. And so, yeah, just about everybody's now including a QR code on the card, which makes it super easy, reduces the friction to just come back. But you can also do really cool things with it, like send people to a specific landing page, send people even directly back to cart. So Jonathan, you were mentioning abandoned cart campaigns before. With the QR code, you can actually say, just scan this and you'll go right back to your cart where you left off. And it's a super frictionless way to get people exactly where you want them to go on your site.
Yep. And it's a lot cheaper than a drone swarm over Austin. You don't want to send a drone swarm out to everybody's house. That would get a little creepy.
Creepy there.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that, Michael, but South by Southwest this year, it's a 300-foot by 600-foot drone swarm that was a QR code or something. It's crazy.
I saw a couple of pictures, but I did not see the one where they actually formed a QR code. That's interesting. All right. So everybody's
what's even more is that you could literally hold your phone up and scan it.
Yeah. That's actually pretty genius.
Everybody's pretty terrifying too. Yeah. There was a lot of feedback from everybody was like, well, this is how aliens come and take over our entire power grid. Because all of a sudden everybody's scanning a QR code. There's the bug right in the system.
Boom. Yep.
That's a fair point, I guess. Now,
so I don't think that's going to be a long-term solution, but I guess you could do the same thing with a regular QR code, but I could definitely see like going to a personalized URL or like you said, reloading the shopping cart because somebody finally closed their tab that they kept open for 2 weeks.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So
I like how you use the word friction. The less friction you can create for consumers out there, the better. And I think that sometimes customer or companies out there really create way too much friction, in their marketing.
Sure.
And that's what drives customers away. And, I think that's great that you're, that's a good point, is that the whole point is to erase the friction, make it easier for, water flows to the path of least resistance. And that's kind of how you have to think of it from a marketing standpoint, is make it easy for them to, find you or take action.
Yeah. So totally right. Just get out of their way.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, Michael, as we wrap up here, where can people find you? Obviously, postpilot.com. I see there's also like a demo you can sign up for.
Yeah. And I'll drop I'll send you a link you can drop in the show notes too, for the listeners here, like postpilot.com/GFO stands for Godfather Offer, because it is an offer you can't refuse.
I don't like that.
We'll do the setup like we talked about, and I will even send your first batch of cards on my dime, because we know how to set this up in a way that'll work, and we'll even prove it to you, and then you will want to send more cards. And if you don't, you got yourself a free campaign.
Excellent.
I love that. I'm going to steal that Godfather offer. That's awesome. With a GIF on the landing page.
You'll see it on the page. It's there. Don't worry.
All right. Well, Jonathan, let's just take us out.
Well, Michael, it's been fun, man. We appreciate you spending some time with us and sharing a little more about PostPilot. We'll be sure to get these links out to our listeners. And Sean said he works at he works with a lot of companies out there, and I'm sure he'll be reaching out to you. And I've got I work with companies in the industrial space, and I feel like they're stupid not to be doing something like this in their marketing. Which most of them are not, and which is why they're all about branding, as we talk about all the time. They're all about branding, but not direct response, which is just stupid. So, but yeah, I mean, I will. I'd love to follow up with you and kind of introduce you to some of the clients I work with, and a couple of industry podcasts that I do. So I'll be emailing you, Michael, and hopefully we'll be able to follow up and have you on one of my industry specific platforms in the manufacturing space.
Love it, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it. And great to be here with you.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right, well, it's an hour later, so I think you can pop that bourbon anytime now.
That is
You're
true.
Good.
It is
You're
time.
Good.
That's right.
It is time.
Well, listen, have a great weekend. And we look forward to getting this out to our guests or our listeners. And that is postpilot, postpilot.com. He is Michael Epstein, co-founder. And Michael, thanks again. We look forward to following up with you and hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Hey, Michael, we're going to send you to the green room for a second. We'll follow back up with you. And
Sure.
Sean and I are going to close out the show, and we'll be right back. Good stuff, man. Love it. Gets the wheels spinning in terms of how you can help a lot of your, I know in your space and in mine.
I just messaged one of my supplement clients. It's like, we got to give this a try. Like this looks fun. Let's do this.
Absolutely. So, why wouldn't you give it a try, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So, all right.
Good stuff. And as always, Sean, I don't know if you got plans for the Easter weekend coming up, but
football's back this weekend.
That's right.
USFL.
I'll be watching
kicking off.
Joyzy Generals.
Massive league there. 8 teams. We'll see if they can get it actually to go a full season this time, because I think they launched right at COVID a couple of years ago, and everything got shut down. So
I think that was XFL.
That was XFL. Yeah. So USFL is back. That's a whole.
USFL is back, and here's an interesting take from a marketing standpoint. I think this is going to be very attractive for a lot of viewers. They're introducing. I think they said, I heard an interview today. I think they're introducing like 16. It's either 16 or 18 different camera angles.
Wow.
One of those a couple of those camera angles are the referees have cams on them. So they'll be featuring video footage from a referee. They'll have cams on certain players in their helmets. So they'll actually be able to see camera footage, from a player's perspective.
Kind of taking the NASCAR approach. NASCAR's got cameras in like every car now.
Yep.
And they're also doing, there's 3 different ways to score after a touchdown. So you can do a 1, 2, or 3-point conversion.
That's right.
So
it should be, So I think it's 8 teams, which is kind of a bummer, but I'm sure that, I think this is kind of a test pilot to see if this thing takes off. They probably will, introduce more franchises.
2 of the coaches are former NFL coaches.
That's right.
Jeff Fisher and Kevin Sumlin are both coaching.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're going to have a little bit wider playbook. Should be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and mic'd up. Everybody's mic'd up on the sideline. You'll be able to hear everything. So it'll be.
I'm loving it. We love over the weekend. We love having like just football playing in the background, even if we're not watching it, just that sound.
Of course. Oh yeah.
So hopefully they got some decent crowds, and
we'll see.
And we got that noise going on in the background. So it should be fun.
7:30 on a Saturday night too. So if you're longing for a little football, just tune in. The USFL is back after about 30 years.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, to all of our listeners out there, you can find us over at persuasionbythepint.com. You can catch us on all of your podcast platforms, Stitcher Radio, iHeart, Spotify, you name it. Come visit us over at our Facebook group at Persuasion by the Pint. And also, if you have questions, you can reach out to us over at persuasionbythepint@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Take care. Have a great Easter weekend, and we'll see you guys next time. Sean, it's been fun. We'll see you.
See ya.